The following announcement is paid for by the Wrestling with Nerds.
From Mordor to Hogwarts to Gotham, the nerds have come together to create a show for nerds by nerds. Join nerds doing nerd things as they talk about all things nerdy. Stay up to date on the show by liking the Nerds Doing Nerd Things Facebook page.
This honky-tonk man, greatest intercontinental champion of all time, and you're watching Wrestling with Nerds podcast. Yes, that's my favorite. Shake, rattle, and roll.
What's going on, wrestling nerds, and welcome to this week's episode of the Wrestling with Nerds podcast. We are talking about WrestleMania 10 all the way from 1994. Joining with me, we're kind of down a security man here, but joining me, the wrestling guru, Ryan Fry. Ryan, how you doing, pal?
Well, you did that better than I did, because I was gonna mark where we're gonna talk about the elephant that's not in the room. Yeah, our buddy TJ's under the weather, not feeling good. Hope he's back next week. Last we talked to him, he was running about 102 fever.
Well, at least he's running.
It's about the only running.
So we're talking about WrestleMania 10, and before we do that, thank you everybody who is going to tune into this or watch it on replay later. First, we got to talk about a certain Ryan. I'll do the honors. Debuting the heel Rock from 2003 theme song again. You popped so hard for it, and I didn't hear it until I rewatched it. Are you enjoying what you're seeing with The Rock?
I am enjoying it to the point of I can't wait to see what they add next for his entrance. but then it's kind of like it's kind of like the Bruce Pritchard saying, he's like, and then the bell ring.
Yeah,
I gotta admit, his promos, while some of them are fire and some of them are absolute dog shit to him, it's just redundant, repeating itself. From what I've noticed, the Rock concert from Friday was entertaining because it is the Rock making fun of people, and that's hilarious.
See, honestly, I enjoyed the Rock concert, but I very much enjoyed the conversation he had to the camera afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, but it just seems like it's the same thing. It's like the same redundant thing, and I don't think it's the Rock's fault. But now he's basically taken. If you think about it this way, this was a movie role that is set up for Vince McMahon, and then Vince can't portray it, so then they get The Rock to become that role.
Yeah.
With the whole, I'm on the board, I'm your boss, I can make this title disappear. It's the same shtick. That's the only part of this that I don't care for. Because it's been done in the WWF, WWE since 1999. And here it's 2023, and we're still doing the whole authority gimmick. I'm waiting for that one more interaction with somebody that needs to happen. And I don't know when we're going to get it, but there needs to be a Triple H interaction again at some point before WrestleMania.
Okay.
We need to have that again, because remember, that's what we left that press conference with, was Rock and Triple H, that interaction. And we haven't seen anything since then, except for when Hunter comes on SmackDown when the Bloodline's not there, and the Bloodline comes on when Hunter's not there. We need to have that Hunter. Hunter needs to be the Paul Heyman role of Seth and Cody, if that makes sense.
Yes.
We need to have that. That's the one thing I'm still waiting for before we get to WrestleMania, is that interaction, to be honest with you. And I think running his mouth only as The Rock could do, and the King of Kings started to plays, and that's the interaction. That place will explode.
What do you think it'd be like if we heard glass shattering instead?
I don't think he doesn't fit the role.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be Rock Austin all the time. Rock and Hunter is just Rock and Hunter rivalry is just as important as Austin Rock, because Rock and Hunter is what carried the company while Austin was out with the neck injury.
And the only reason why I bring that up is because you have all the people on TikTok, which great wrestling community on TikTok. There are some straight bozos also on TikTok. And I watch everything, as you know, Ryan. I send you so much stupid wrestling shit, and you're like, fuck that guy, fuck that guy. I kind of like that one. But a lot are waiting for the glass shattering, and I'm kind of on the board with you of I kind of want to see it go back to Triple H.
The ship for Austin has sailed. They've already been through Texas. If you're gonna have Austin, it's gonna be in Texas, or now he's in Nevada living. But Austin and Texas is where it would have happened.
Mm-hmm.
They've already drove through Texas, so to speak, on the way to the road to WrestleMania. So I don't see he's nowhere to be seen. Triple H has been involved. He's the guy that it needs to be, not Stone Cold. That would make no sense whatsoever. Except for the big ass pop, which I granted you're gonna get a big ass pop. If you're gonna get Austin involved in WrestleMania, do something else with it.
And since we're doing the current events part of this, I had a thought, Ryan, that if Cody and Seth do win night one, they're out of the Roman Cody match, but who's to say that they don't fuck with Seth's match?
Yeah, I mean, I personally don't see the story doesn't make sense for Brock or Roman to get pinned night one.
Okay.
It just doesn't make sense to me on that part. That's probably the one thing out of this whole the build part of the two matches that it's kind of blatant obvious what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But we're all going to still enjoy it because it's going down the 7th and 8th innings of this whole thing. I just don't see Roman's not going to take a pinfall night one and then take a pinfall night two, and then Rock's not going to take a pinfall night one and then turn on Roman after Roman gets pinned on night two. It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever, unless the only way you could possibly do that is if Roman is the one that cost Rock the pinfall on night one.
Okay.
Like if the bloodline says, fuck you, G.I. Joe man, Hobbs, whatever, and takes out the Rock, and then the Rock takes the pinfall. But I feel like if the bloodline was, I think you can kind of tell Roman is still kind of leery of Rock. Rock's putting up a good front. So I don't think there's the thought of the first night being the turn. Mm-hmm. The second night is definitely going to be probably the turn part. I saw an interesting video somebody had. You know how Rock kept putting the L up?
Yeah.
All of you remember back, it's Seth and Cody's promo together. Seth does the same thing and looks at it, and then looks at Cody, and then looks at it again, and then then he puts the one finger up. Is there a story under the story of Rock, Seth, and Cody are working together to destroy the bloodline, and Rock is from the inside, and Cody and Seth are the front men? So they're definitely twisting the stories around. I still think the first match is going to be very predictable, but I think most likely it's going to be bloodline rules. That way they can have Rock interfere and cut off the bloodline if that be the case, or do the turn and all that, and it not cost Cody the match.
Okay.
That's my thoughts.
Ladies and gentlemen, listen to the guru. Knows what he's talking about, has watched wrestling since birth. Like, I'm pretty sure he came out with a championship belt.
Pretty much. It's just, I love the storytelling. I do love, with Hunter now being in charge of this company, that there is more emphasis on some sort of storytelling. I think it makes perfect sense for Bloodline to beat Cody and Seth. The only bad part about it is Seth's gonna take 2 losses, because I don't see Cody taking the pinfall. Although Cody taking the pinfall would make an interesting story now that I think about it. But I think Seth is end up gonna lose the world title to Drew, and then Drew's not gonna hold it very long after he wins it.
Damian Priest?
Yes. I think we get a cash in after they lose the tag titles.
Monday?
No, same night.
That's okay.
I think that's where they go with it.
That beeping in your background?
Yeah.
Something burning?
No. I think it makes sense for Damian and Drew to fight for the world title going into the summer, and have Seth and Cody be battling the bloodline while Roman's there or not there, whatever. Rock's not there, whatever. So I feel like that's where they'll go with it.
So are they nixing the brand split at that point? Because I could see if Cody wins the belt, that belt belongs to SmackDown. He goes to SmackDown.
I'm not really focused on the brand split when it comes to the bloodline story.
Okay.
The other stuff, they do a good job of keeping it split. But as far as the bloodline story goes, I don't care. It works that they're interacting. It's the Raw guys trying to take out the head guy of SmackDown, basically, is what it's turning into.
Yeah.
And like Seth said, it's not about Raw and SmackDown. It's about the business in general. So the bloodline story, I think, is above the brand split.
I could see that. And before we get back into WrestleMania 10, news dropped earlier today. Becoming Immortal, Bray Wyatt, a Peacock original, coming to the service April 1st. Ryan, what are your thoughts on them doing a documentary on the character Bray Wyatt and the Fiend and just Wyndham Rotunda as a person?
I think we're going to get a lot of knowledge on what the plans were. I did read more that the Undertaker is the one that's narrating this documentary.
That's wow. Like, I read that, and that's powerful.
Yeah. I think this is smart on WWE's part, because everybody wants, and all anybody wants is for him to be in the Hall of Fame already.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think he needs to go in right away. It's like I said last week. No matter what we do from here on out, he's always going to be there to go.
Yeah.
And I don't, and I think having his dad and his uncle going in is kind of a notch to him, because I feel I don't know Wyndham. But I know he's a wrestling kid, and I feel like he would be disappointed to know that he went in before his father and his namesake. So for his dad and his uncle to get the nod this year, and then they have this documentary coming out, I think makes more sense.
So they played a quick audio clip of it just in like previews or whatever, or a trailer, sorry. And it's Bray saying, I was born into a wrestling family, and from there all I wanted to do was be a wrestler.
Yeah.
And with the lineage preceding him, I think you're probably like right on the ball where, I did what I did. but they should be honored before me.
100%. I'm looking forward to it. I hope that they got some interviews with Bo in this documentary. I hope Bo is a main factor in this documentary. Even Liv, I'd like to see a little bit of the Liv, because her and Bo are together. They've been together for a couple years.
Oh.
But I think you're gonna see what the game
maybe
plan
some
was.
JoJo.
Maybe, and the cool thing about it is most likely anything that comes from this, just like anything that comes from his shirts and everything, goes to the kids, which is an awesome thing that WWE does.
The minute I found that out,
more often.
I bought a Bray Wyatt shirt or
I
a
have
Fiend shirt.
I have the Fiend Legacy shirt. That is one shirt I bought. It was very cool. I feel like the one thing that this is going to do is you're going to see what the plans were in place.
Yeah.
They're going to talk about Undertaker and him at Raw 30. I got the privilege to be there to see that. They're probably going to talk to LA Knight about being his last match at Rumble. Yeah, that was a pretty cool moment. That and the opening with Hogan was very cool. But it'll be interesting. It'll definitely be people that I think what it'll do is people that didn't like the Fiend character will appreciate this documentary to know and like Bray more. You know what I mean?
I love the Mr. Rogers character most of all.
I will admit it, and I back when we did the live after we found out of his passing, I was not the biggest Fiend fan. I liked Bray Wyatt. I liked Husky Harris. I liked all of it. The moment I saw him when he debuted as a rookie on NXT when they had the pros and
Husky Harris.
He was Husky Harris. He was a battle tank with a Ferrari engine, and it was like, that sounds freaking cool. Let's go. So I always liked Bray or Husky or Wyndham or all that stuff. I just wasn't a big fan of the Fiend character because the story hadn't been told enough. It wasn't explained enough, I guess, in my thoughts. And they were headed in that direction. The Wyndham 6 or the Wyatt 6, I think, was going to become a thing. So it'll be fun to see. We'll get a deep dive into White Rabbit and everything else.
So you ready to talk about WrestleMania 10?
Let's do it.
So before we get into WrestleMania 10, go check out our merch store, buy some Nerds merch, some Wrestling with Nerds merch. If you see anything with pink on it, all those proceeds go to the Susan G. Komen Fund. When we get to that $50 mark, I do a group donation for all three Nerds, Wrestling, four, All-Star, and Hutch Sport. From all four entities, it goes and gets put in for the four of us. So keep buying pink shit. But Madison.
Wait a minute. Do you want to, before we get to this WrestleMania, do you want to let the fans know what to look for to find us during the Hall of Fame ceremony?
Mine's still in the
or
bag.
Should we just hold on to that?
If you want to show yours, mine is still in the bag.
I don't have mine with me, but you know, we had this conversation last week where
it's my idea, damn it.
AJ said we should dress formal for the Hall of Fame ceremony. And I made the comment, well, if I'm going to go formal, I'm buying a tuxedo t-shirt.
And then I said, fuck it, why not?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, all three of us will be in tuxedo t-shirts at WrestleMania.
Are you
AJ will
me?
be AJ will be in an orange tuxedo t-shirt. I have a baby blue tuxedo t-shirt. And our lovely co-host who's not here, TJ, has a Kelly green because it's Philadelphia. If you don't know, you don't know, but orange and blue tuxedo, it's Dumb and Dumber, baby, all the way for SmackDown for the Hall of Fame ceremony. So if you're looking in the crowd and you see a blue shirt, an orange shirt, and a green tuxedo, all tuxedo shirts, That's your Wrestling with Nerds group, and we're gonna be on camera side, so that will be fun for. If you find us, take a snapshot, send it to us. Maybe I'll send you. Maybe I'll buy you a piece of free merch. Who knows?
What whereabouts whereabouts on camera side? Like right hard cam?
No, we're more towards. It would be how's 2K24 describe it? The northeast post.
Okay, so if you're looking at the ring, it's to the right.
Yeah, we'll be to the right.
Northeast, fuck you.
Speaking of which, WWE 2K24, how far have you gotten into the game?
I am still working on the female My Rise, and fuck it, we'll do it right now. Spoiler, little review of the game. I'm loving it. I love the shit they've added to it. I think they could have done a little bit more when it comes to the WrestleMania shit. I kind of wish that they added the actual commentary from those matches into the cutscenes, and it's not just Corey Graves, which he does a phenomenal job. Don't get me wrong. It would have felt a little more if you heard Gorilla Monsoon or Vince McMahon or Jesse the Body Ventura as they switch to the real life cutscene of what's going on to the match. But I'm very much enjoying the My Rise. I love that you're able to turn the camera again, like for the Rumble. You're able to watch the people come down. If they got pyro, you get to see the pyro go off. Over 200 characters, which I think is actually about 170. The extra characters are different versions of.
Yeah, we get the different versions of Cena, the different versions of Randy.
Yeah.
There's 3 Hogans. Was it 2? Well, if you count it, Kevin Nash. There's Kevin Nash and there's Diesel. So you get some multiples. I think I started a Legends thing, and just off of the game with the Legends, it's like close to 60 Legends.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite amazing.
It's very much in depth.
You're doing the female My Rise. I'm doing the male My Rise, and I told you earlier today. I was like, "Oh man, I should be done this today." This is the longest My Rise I think I've ever played.
Really?
Like I'm literally like maybe 3 hours in, 3.5 hours in, and I'm not done yet. I'm not even close.
And you know how I am when I buy games. If it's a game that I'm going to play, that's one thing. But these wrestling games for me in the past, you play it, boom, you're over and done with it. The game's been out 3 weeks. I've been playing maybe about 4 or 5 times a week still, and I'm not there yet. I'm still, and I think they're right around the same amount of time, both female and male. And I'm just enjoying myself. I'm like, there's more? Holy shit, there's more? And it just keeps going.
And I actually, this is the first year for me. I started playing more of the My Faction. My Faction I never really played before, and I've been playing it this year.
Isn't it literally like Mutt?
It is and it isn't, because I mean, I went ahead and bought packs. I bought VR coins or whatever. Kiss my ass. I never did it for Mutt, but I bought some just to get a couple packs going.
Mm-hmm.
I really didn't need it, because after you finish the showcase, you get a good group of cards to start with. If you do the showcase before you start My Faction. I finally did get I was having troubles with DLCs. I didn't have the Nightmare Family. I finally got that back and figured all that out.
I feel like somebody forgot to download a very important.
It wasn't there. If you went through the game to the store, it wasn't there. But if you went through Xbox through the store, it was there. Never dawned on me to go that way. But it's fun. I love the WWE games because I will play it. Like, I literally have it here somewhere. Yeah. I have a whole list of created legends that I made or that I'm looking for, and I'll make shows.
Goddamn.
Like, I'll do, like, these are all my tag teams, and I'll split them up between WWF and WCW, and I'll do the whole thing. And even the Divas, I'll I'll wrestle through them, and I'll make shows and everything. It's quite entertaining.
Do you
and fun
wrestle
for
or do
me.
you just build the matches and let things go?
What I'll usually do is I'll build the rivalries to start to get them going. Hold on one second. The camera went out of focus there when I was trying to pull the paper up.
Focus, you moron!
I'll start them to get the rivalries going, and then like I'll skip a couple of months and let it sim through, and then like jump back into it when it gets to like Survivor Series,
Okay.
just to see where things are at. And if it's going in a way I didn't want it to go, I'll start correcting it back to the way I want. But then I'll start playing every match.
You're the dungeon master of the WWE game.
I enjoy it. I'll play GM mode once I'm finished with my Rise.
I still think they need to fix GM mode. I'm not having fun with it. Like, I'm putting matches together that even now are phenomenal rivalries and everything, but just because he's a bruiser and a specialist, it's not going to work very well.
I've played it since it came out. Well, GM mode's been on since 2 games ago, I think. It's gotten better.
Oh, it has.
I think I don't like the whole. I agree with you. I don't agree with the whole wrestling style thing.
Yeah.
I get it. Like giant and a cruiserweight, they'll work, or flyer will work, but a brawler and a technician won't work, or something of that nature. I usually just put matches together and go out and beat the hell out of the computer, let the computer beat the hell out of me, back and forth, and usually get about 3 stars, 3.5. Even when it's not supposed to be a good match, I can get them to be a good match. I really wish they would come on with an online GM mode. That would be
cool.
fun.
Because right now it's just like couch co-op GM mode.
Yeah, because like a GM mode between the 3 of us would be fun to watch.
No.
Also, the other thing I wish you could do is change your. You can change it, but I wish you could turn it off or even make it to whatever amount you want, and that's your cash flow to start with.
Mm-hmm.
I wish you could go to about 5 million to
Instead
start.
It's 3.75.
Yeah, I think it's like 3.5 or whatever it starts with. And I like that part too, where you build and build and build, and you add more and build your show up, and you use those cards. Those cards are like chance cards in Monopoly. Like, hey, I've got this card that I could steal somebody from that guy's show, and it won't cost me anything. I'll use it.
Go to jail. It's a picture of Vince McMahon.
Oh. But yeah, so we'll keep updating on 2K. I think after Mania, I think we're gonna take some time and maybe talk about some old WWF wrestling video games. There's gonna be some future episodes.
Here comes the pain.
We're gonna talk about that.
Day of Reckoning.
We're good. That's all you, because that's like GameCube, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have GameCube.
Oh.
But I mean, I'll have like WrestleMania for regular Nintendo that you probably never played.
I have the wrestling one for Super Nintendo.
That's probably like the WrestleMania game.
I was gonna say, I know Hulk Hogan's on it.
Yeah. But we'll keep everybody up to date on what we're doing. But it's a lot of fun. So,
dude,
let's get into WrestleMania 10.
Let's get into it, because we're already a half hour in and haven't even fucking talked about it yet. So WrestleMania 10, once again, talking about New York's Madison Square Garden. How the fuck do we keep always coming back here?
I don't know, but it is quite funny how we always keep repeating either arenas or shows. It's just fun.
March 20th, 1994, in attendance, 18,065. The buy rate is 420,000. The tagline for this is 10 years in the making. Well, no shit.
It's kind of funny, though, because it says the attendance is 18,000. But we see later on in the show, there is a lot of people in the amphitheater watching it on the big screen.
They don't count the amphitheater in that.
I know, but there's a lot of people. That I would almost prefer that more, I think it'd be fun as hell to go watch WrestleMania on a big screen. If I
Like
can't be there
like at a
live,
theater.
yeah,
That'd be cool. All the
that would be
wrestling
cool.
fans in one area.
Yeah, that would
Oh
be
shit.
nuts. But yeah, WrestleMania 10. It's the first WrestleMania without Hulk Hogan.
And it's the
Spoiler
last
alert.
WrestleMania for Macho.
It's his very last It's his last WWF match. He's gone not long after this.
I think he becomes a announcer for a little
He
while.
already is announcing.
Yeah, but after
He's
this
already
match, he announces. I think till December. Somebody said, and then he's gone.
something like that. Yeah, it's like November or something, and he's out. But this is his last actual televised match. He does house shows and stuff until he leaves. So at his match with Crush, we'll get into that very weird stipulation, but I actually like the stipulation, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but let's get into I think the either best match of the night or the second best match of the night. First up, Owen Hart and Bret Hart.
Well, let's go. I agree. We'll touch base on that in a minute, but also you should recognize this is the WrestleMania. WrestleMania 10 is the one where we have our first co-winners of the Royal Rumble.
Yes.
Lex Luger and Bret Hart magnificently eliminated themselves at the exact same time.
Not a shoot, or was it a shoot?
Nope, literally to the point that they did a good job of not catching it on camera if it was or it wasn't, but literally from what referees, because I think who's the one you like that does that, the referee that got released there a little while ago that now
Mike
does
Chioda.
Mike Chioda. He was there and said that you could not tell who hit the floor first because, and Lex Luger gives all the credit to Bret Hart on that feat of making it look that good. Bret, of course, at Royal Rumble was teaming with Owen, hurt his knee against the Quebecers for the tag titles. Owen, of course, turns on Bret and kicks him in the knee and everything. He didn't think Bret was going to make it to the Rumble. Everybody was pretty sure Lex Luger was going to win the Royal Rumble that year. Turns out they ended up doing this, where they were going to be co-Rumble winners. Well, what are they going to do for a match? Because a triple threat match was not a thing in 1994. Triangle matches, no, WWF did not do triple threat matches or triangle matches in 1994. So they had a coin flip on Monday Night Raw. Gorilla Monsoon flipped the coin, and Lex Luger won the coin flip, meaning he gets to face Yoko first. The way it was laid out was they're each challenger is gonna have could have two matches is how it was put out, because if Lex would beat Yoko, then he would face Bret at the end of the night to make up for either one of them already having a match. Bret would then face Owen in a singles match, so that way whoever was in the finals with Bret, it was even because they had both wrestled two matches. Yes. And then it was kind of fun because the storyline going in was all about Lex and Yoko and Bret and Owen, and not so much about Bret and Yoko for the world title. It was always about Bret and Owen the whole time. So, but yeah, definitely Bret and Owen put on a clinic in this first match. This match, if you're the two that we're going to talk about being the best ones, I give the nod to this one because they didn't have a prop in the ring.
Yeah, they didn't have a gimmick.
Yeah,
and they told a complete story of Owen wanting to leap out of the shadow of Bret Hart.
Yeah, this is early Jerry the King Lawler, so you don't get a lot of humor, and he doesn't like Bret Hart, so this was really, really good storytelling.
He also hates Alundra Blaze, apparently, but that's we'll get to
that. But yeah, and then I mean, you figure neither one of them were going to submit. Owen catches Bret coming off the top rope, he has him in catches him in a victory roll off the top rope and catches him for the 1, 2, 3. So Bret loses his match with Owen, but he gets to go for the World Heavyweight title later on that night. Still one of the best matches. I think it's underrated. I think it's not talked about enough only because of what happened to Owen later on in life.
Yeah.
They don't really talk about WrestleMania 10 for Brett Noah, and they talk about WrestleMania 10 for Shawn and Razor, and that's kind of misfortunes on that. I feel like this was definitely. I mean, we already had the best match of the night, so the rest of it is just filler, so to speak.
The next match, Bam Bam Bigelow and Luna Becken.
No, it's Bam Bam Bigelow and Luna Vachon.
Okay, apparently that's how you say this. Okay, defeats Doink the Clown and Dink the Clown in a mixed tag match.
You two enjoyed the hell out of this match just because of the little guy running around smacking Luna on the ass and biting her on the ass.
So every time Dink was running around, I heard the dun 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 dun, and then it's a 6-minute match of just
pure entertainment.
But one thing that threw me off is Bam Bam goes for a splash and Luna goes for the splash. Dink gets out of the way, and then here comes Luna. It's like,
yeah, that was a little.
You missed the fat guy, but you got hit by the chick.
Well, wouldn't you rather get laid on by the chick than the fat guy?
Yeah,
Good
but
point,
if you see that, I think he got kneed in the head.
Probably. This is fun time. This is not the original Doink. This is Ray Apollo. Matt Bourne is gone by now. He's already in ECW playing the demented Doink character over there in ECW. I thought it was a really good match. Bam Bam and Doink had some really good ones. Bam Bam's just showing that he can work. Of course, the following year he's in the main event. He's in the main event of WrestleMania 11 with Lawrence Taylor. So to say Bam Bam can't work is a misjudgment on Bam Bam. And if you think Bam Bam can't work, I highly suggest you go watch some of his stuff either in the WWF or elsewhere, because the man's probably one of the best working big men ever. If somebody named The Undertaker didn't exist. By the way, Undertaker's not here at WrestleMania 10. Royal Rumble, he got put in a casket, if you remember, by Yoko. This is the whole time period where he takes time off. I believe it was a torn pec. But that's why The Undertaker's streak never matched up with when he started, because he's not here at WrestleMania 10. But anyhow, the mixed tag match, it was fun. It was entertaining. It was good for what it was. It's better than the other mini match we just watched at WrestleMania 3, I would say. This one was by far more entertaining, although I don't think I heard a bigger belly laugh in my life than when TJ watched the midget get slammed by Bundy. Just saying.
I thought he was.
But anyhow, I thought it was funny as hell when Dink walks up and slaps Luna on the ass, and then it was just funny. Next up, we get that weird match we were talking about. It's the Macho Man Randy Savage versus Crush. It's a Falls Count Anywhere match, AJ, but the rules are different.
Yeah, they're weird. I've never heard of you pin somebody and then they have a minute to get back into the ring.
This was called a Falls Count Anywhere match, but this rules are more of a old school Texas death match rules. There's always rules are different no matter where you go. Or a blackout match is what sometimes these are called.
Okay.
Pin the guy, and then they have 10 seconds usually to get to their feet. This was they had 10 seconds to get back to the ring. It was weird, but it was, I mean...
What happens if Macho pinned him in the ring? Would the match then just be over? Because you see that he kicks him out of the ring and then pins him.
Yeah. Again, it was a change of rule. I kind of liked it because you wouldn't have thought of that, I guess. I mean, I pinned him in the ring. Does the match continue? What's the point of me pinning him then? It's just a weird thing. Randy's Randy. I mean, he hasn't missed. He's not missing a step here. As much as there was talks about him wanting to get out of the ring and everything, Randy Savage is still Randy Savage here. Crush is always one of those big men that are what could have been. Like this Crush as a heel with Yoko was always kind of one of my favorites. And I always wanted Crush to be more than what he was. But he's one of those guys that just didn't have that charisma spark to become a top bad guy. And I mean, that's always been my feeling on Crush. I always liked Crush because, again, we've had this discussion before. I'm more of a bigger guy liking wrestling fan. So I enjoy Crush. This was a fun match. Randy wins by pinning him in the back where it looks like they're doing a photo shoot where somehow there's an engine hoist or a hoist of some sort. And he hoists Crush up by his ankles. And it's going to tie him to the what looks like the rack that holds the pedestal up. And it's like he tied it up, thought it was going to work, and then walked away, and it untied itself.
Phenomenal wrestler. Does not know how to tie knots. Somebody should have went to Boy Scouts.
I say he was not a Boy Scout, was he? No. But anyhow, it was a good match. It's Randy's last match in the WWF on television. I'm sad we never got a return on Randy in the 2000s. I feel like that could have been interesting as hell if it was. Because you think about this: WrestleMania 19. You had Hulk Hogan versus Vince McMahon in that street fight, and Roddy shows up as a camera guy and drills Hogan with the pipe. Gets a huge pop. How big of a pop would that have been if that was Randy instead of Piper? And then that builds all the way to the next year WrestleMania, and you get Hulk Hogan versus Randy Savage at WrestleMania 20.
I was there. That could have been a thing.
That would have been amazing, would have not? Even as older as both of them were.
I think we need to jump on 2K after this.
You have Hogan versus whichever one I am is gonna win. With Hogan versus Savage at WrestleMania 5 and then WrestleMania 20 would have been amazing. And then we're into our next match. We're in the era of the women, unfortunately, just don't matter.
Alundra Blaze is head and shoulders over fucking everybody.
Yeah. Alundra Blaze versus Leilani Kai. Leilani Kai was at WrestleMania 1. She lost to Wendy Richter. She's at WrestleMania 10. She loses to Alundra Blaze. I wonder if they called her for WrestleMania 20 and she said, no, I'll pass.
I'm just going to lose anyway. But
of course,
Alundra Blaze with the very acrobatic, like new style wrestling.
She has a kickboxing style.
Yeah.
To say. But the kicks and the German suplexes, she wins with a German suplex.
She also did like a flip roll up, like where she's like up and then curls under and then.
Yeah. Alundra Blaze here, Medusa. She's head and shoulders above the rest, but they're given 3 minutes and 20 seconds.
The damn garbage can.
Yeah, then she talks about being where the big boys play. Next up is Men on a Mission, Mo and Mabel with Oscar versus the Quebecers. Quebecer Jacques and Quebecer Pierre.
With Johnny Polo.
Johnny Polo, aka Raven. This is 1994, peeps out there. There's a guy on this card that's still wrestling today. Quebecer Pierre is PCO in TNA. The Human Frankenstein now is still wrestling today, and here he is on the card at WrestleMania 10. Almost 30 years later.
He's 56 years old.
So you think about it. Yeah. So he's 26 years old here.
shit.
That's amazing. But this is a pretty good match. I always liked Men on the Mission. I always thought they were cool, like the whole gimmick of
Why
throwing
were
your
they
hands in
dressed
the
as
air.
what was with the purple and gold and all that stuff? They looked like Cadbury eggs. Or I'm sorry, TJ said they looked like Cadbury eggs.
Yeah, they I don't know. Most likely it was probably a Vince thing. Because these guys wrestled in the USWA and they were the Harlem Knights. They wore red and black.
I would have liked
But
that better.
I think you could see Vince going, I see him in purple and gold. That big motherfucker looks like a bus.
It's such good shit.
And then the blonde hair. I don't know where the blonde hair come from for Mabel. But I always liked Men on the Mission. I felt like they won the tag titles for like 2 days during not on television. They think they win the world tag titles here because
That bothered me so much.
they win the match by countout, and then they're celebrating with the tag titles. They're not the tag champs. The Quebecers are.
Freaking Raven's like, we want the belts. They're our belts. They're like, no, we won these tonight.
Yeah, and then it's kind of funny. I thought it was earlier in the card, but here it is, match 6 on the card. And we get Yokozuna versus Lex Luger for match 1 of the WWF Championship. And the special guest referee, Mr. Perfect. Just a little backstory. Mr. Perfect and Lex Luger have history from around WrestleMania 9, where Luger decks Perfect when Luger is a heel as the narcissist Lex Luger.
Mm-hmm.
So Luger and Perfect have history. It's as you said, you thought the match was really slow.
So I went back today, and it's a 14-minute match, and I get Yoko's a big dude. There's limitations there and everything. He had that vice grip on Luger's shoulder or clavicle or whatever, for almost 5 minutes of this match.
Big man need to breathe, man. Big man need to breathe.
But yet, the Bret Hart and Yokozuna match, 10 minutes, and well, there was aspects of that.
Well, I mean, think about it though. That's 10 minutes for Yoko and Bret. That's 15 minutes for Yoko and Lex. That's 25 minutes for Yoko, period. No matter, he only had a 20-minute break in between both matches. Big man winded. He needs some more chicken feet or chicken heads or whatever the hell he would eat.
He's
or
winded getting to the
turkey.
ring.
What was his biography? Turkey butts and mayonnaise. That's what he ate. Turkey ass and mayonnaise. If take the fried end of the butt part of a turkey and dip it in mayonnaise and eat it. That's what he would eat. I remember that from the documentary. Yeah.
I could have gone without knowing that.
This is Yoko and Lex. If you look at this, this is like a, unfortunately to say this, 1994 WWF has went from the A rate down to a B, maybe C rate company at this point.
Yeah, they go into a fall up until like 97, 98.
If you think about this, Yoko and Lex is the B or C rating of Andre and Hulk.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I can see that. Were they looking for Lex to be the next Hulk Hogan?
100%. The week before this pay-per-view, something they've never done before and they have never done since because it backfired on them. On an episode of Superstars, keep in mind, Yokozuna is the world heavyweight champion. They had Lex Luger wear the world heavyweight title out and do a walk around with his music playing and everything on an episode of Superstars to give the fans the thought of what could happen if he beat Yoko and Bret. It was awkward. There's the photos have just recently surfaced about, I think with the network and everything, you can see it. I recently just watched it because I'm watching Superstars back. But yeah, because Lex was the only one of the three that had never been the world champion before, to give you guys an idea of what it would look like if Lex Luger was the WWF champion, they strapped the belt to him and had him walk out into the arena with it on.
I don't like that.
I don't like it, and I think it kind of harmed him in a way. I like Lex Luger. I've always was a Lex Luger fan. I know he gets trashed for his wrestling style wasn't always the greatest, or his skills wasn't always the greatest, or his attitude was always shit. But I always liked Lex Luger.
I mean, they were portraying him as Hulk Hogan light.
Oh, he's the American hero. He's the Lex Express, all that stuff. He was Mr. USA Lex Luger. Luger hits Yoko with the forearm. Jim Cornette gets up on the apron. He pulls Cornette into the ring. Then Fuji gets in. He pulls Fuji in. Mr. Perfect kind of playing it on the fence.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that the other two get out of the ring before he counts 1, 2, 3. Luger's like, "What are you doing?" He touches him twice. Then he grabs him. And when he grabs him, that's it for Mr. Perfect. Perfect walks over, disqualifies Lex Luger. I hate the finish of this match. I feel like if you're gonna have two WWF Championship matches at WrestleMania, they both need to be clean pinfalls. Whether it's Perfect costing by fast counting, or I mean, you could easily have done Yoko does his leg drop that he normally does, or his belly to belly, and Perfect just fast counts it. That would work for me. But to get disqualified for that, and there's no payoff for it, I kind of hated it. Because Perfect has a Lloyd's of London deal here and can't wrestle. So there's no payoff. Then why get disqualified for touching Perfect? It just didn't work for me. But I think it was to keep Luger with a little bit of power or a little bit of motivation going, which it all falls apart. He's out of here in a year and a half, and he shows up on Nitro unexpectedly. So not a big fan of that match. The next one's not even a match. We get Atom Bomb versus Earthquake. It goes 35 seconds, and Earthquake just destroys the Atom Bomb. Did you know an Earthquake can stop an Atom Bomb, AJ?
Apparently.
They can do it they do it in 35 seconds.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to test that in one of my my simulator games, just to see if it works.
Good win for John Tenta, Earthquake. If you haven't caught Dark Side of the Ring yet, the new season started. The new season of Dark Side of the Ring just started. I think there are 2 episodes in. It was Earthquake was episode 1, and Buff Bagwell was episode 2. The Earthquake one, it's a great story that just ends tragically for everybody. Feel sorry for him and his family. Kind of lost touch with any of the wrestling community during his sickness, and it's just a tough watch towards the end. The Bagwell one's kind of it's Buff Bagwell, and I'll leave it at that. So yeah, Earthquake gets the win here. This is a face Earthquake, which I didn't know Earthquakes could be good guys. I always thought Earthquakes would be bad guys, but then again, I thought Atom Bombs would always be bad guys. So I guess there needed to be a good Earthquake to beat the bad Atom Bomb. I don't know. You went there, not me.
Well,
next
up,
both. Next is the second number 2 match of the night. Razor Ramon versus Shawn Michaels to crown the undisputed WWF Intercontinental Champion in a ladder match. I mean, what can we say about this match that hasn't been already said about this match?
Best ladder match in WrestleMania history.
And I'm glad you added the WrestleMania part, because I'll agree with you on that. Best ladder match, period. Close.
Which one?
I prefer Rock and Hunter at SummerSlam.
Okay.
Also for the Intercontinental title. I just prefer that match more. This is a great match. Razor, Diesel, Shawn, the Clique, they're working together. They're having fun. This match goes way over time. Way over time.
Hey, wasn't there like a 10-person tag that they teased right before this? And it's not here. I'm surprised they didn't cut that out on Peacock.
Well, because it was on the show. like they made it so that you knew, hey, I mean, I don't think anybody was really looking for the 10-man tag is why they bought the pay-per-view, but if you're looking for the 10-man tag, it's not happening tonight. It'll happen tomorrow night on Raw.
Oh, did they say that?
I don't think they said it, but it ends up happening the next night on Raw.
Oh, okay.
I think it's the next night.
Hey guys, you're not gonna get paid for WrestleMania. Your shit got cut.
Or no, I'm sorry. WrestleMania 10 was on March 20th. The match actually occurred on April 4th.
Oh shit!
Episode of Raw.
Like 2 weeks.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny, but the match went long. It's still a great match. It's an awesome finish. Sean gets his leg caught up in the rope.
And then gets his
Razor
arm caught
gets
up in
the
the rope.
belts. Yeah. I don't think Razor thought that bump was going to hurt as bad as it did. Because he goes straight from the top to the mat, and I think it was kind of like, oh damn, that hurt a lot more than I thought it was going
Fuck, man.
to do. It was a great way to finish that story. Next is the final match. Bret Hart defeats Yokozuna for the WWF Championship in 10 minutes and 38 seconds. The special guest referee for this match, Hot Rod, Roddy Piper.
And Bret is very much showing that Owen fucked his leg up.
Yeah. Bret and Yoko were always fun to watch. This was a fun match to watch. This is one of the first times you ever catch it where Yoko's weight gets him in trouble. Great match back and forth, of course. Yoko goes to do his bonsai drop in the corner. It's on the second rope. And falls, hits his head, and Bret picks up the win. That's pretty much the finish.
Was that supposed to be the finish, or did Yoko fuck up and it was like time to go home?
No, I think that was the finish because I don't think you were gonna get. Bret had gotten him in the sharpshooter before at WrestleMania 9. Yes, it did happen.
Maneuver that.
And Fuji threw salt in Bret's eyes, and that's how Yoko wins the belt.
That. And then Hogan comes out of nowhere and steals it.
Well, I mean, when you're the best, you're the best. What can I tell you?
When you're the best, you're also the luckiest.
So I think this was a good way of doing that because, like I just said, Yoko had been wrestling now for 25 minutes, close to it at least. So he's tired. He's not exactly in tip-top shape at 550 pounds. He climbs the ropes. He loses his balance. He falls. He hits his head. He loses the belt. I don't like that that's the last time he challenges for the belt though, because he goes away after this for a little while. But it is what it is. They're on the path of Bret Hart being the WWF champ. That's what they're going with. Piper looks good. Piper shows up with a short haircut, wearing jeans. He wears jeans, but he still wears the kilt. It was kind of confusing. I thought you wasn't supposed to wear anything under that thing.
How about all the celebrities?
Yeah, we get Jenny Garth from Beverly Hills 90210, one of the most popular shows in 1994.
Yeah.
Burt Reynolds is there from Evening Shade, another very popular TV show. You get Donnie Wahlberg from New Kids on the Block. And then you get Rhonda Shear, who for most probably don't know this, USA used to have a show on, I want to say it was Friday night or Saturday night, where at 11 o'clock they would play a movie, and it was USA Up All Night is how she would promote it, and she was the host of the show within the movie. So they would do this show, and then they would go into the movie, and then they would do a commercial, and before they would come back to the movie, they would go to her, and she'd be doing something, and then they would go back to the movie. It's kind of like the one horror guy, Billy Bob Briggs, used to host Monster Vision, I think it was what it was called, on TBS.
Sure.
And they would do horror movies, and it would be the same thing. he would be. I know Justin will probably correct me on this when he sees this. He'll be like, "No, that's not what it was called. I think it was called Monster Vision." Um, there would be the same thing. It was a show within the movie. They play the movie. They'd go to him. He'd be like, he would have a guest on, and they would take like 10 minutes and do an interview, and then they would go back to the movie. It was kind of fun for the time because it was just the way it was with old cable television.
Yeah.
That's who Rhonda Shear was. She was up all night. She probably got laid by Burt Reynolds after WrestleMania.
To the chagrin of Shawn Michaels during that interview.
Probably. This is kind of the first WrestleMania since WrestleMania. You had like Euchre at like 3 and 4. And you really didn't have it. You hadn't had really many celebrities, except for ones that did like the national anthem and stuff, until you got to WrestleMania 10.
Yeah.
Then you started getting more celebrities. You get these guys at 10. You get Pamela Anderson and Jenny McCarthy and Jonathan Taylor Thomas and Nick DeToro.
Forget about
WrestleMania 11.
Fake Bill Clinton.
We also. Fake Bill Clinton was a thing in 1994. I think it was an SNL skit and this guy went around claiming to be Bill Clinton because he looks like Bill Clinton. And so what's WWF do? They can't have the president. Let's have the fake president.
And they got IRS sitting right behind them.
And then it's funny because then they have IRS sitting with him, and they have the $1 Million Man sitting with him,
trying to make a deal.
Making a deal. It's kind of funny. This is a good WrestleMania for the time period. It's a good WrestleMania. I think
it's very underrated.
Yeah,
I don't think it's talked about that much, and the only thing on the card that's talked about is that ladder match.
Yes, and I think that and Brett Nolan are probably the two that you would talk about most. I don't like the finish of Dink. Yoko and Lex.
Not Dink?
No. But this is a good. If you think of, we're getting ready to hit 40 of WrestleMania, so if you do it 10, 10, 10, and 10, I'm putting this more towards the top 20 area.
Yeah,
right, top.
I would do that
somewhere around in there. It's a good WrestleMania. I go back and watch it a lot. I enjoyed it. I think I enjoy it more because I wasn't really watching as it happened in 1994. I was kind of watching on the weekends. So like I wasn't watching Raw because at 1994 I'm 7 years old and I'm not allowed to stay up past 9 o'clock. So but it's a good card. It's a good WrestleMania.
Absolutely. We have a new subscriber on the YouTube, Dale Moore. Honestly, they should have every 10 years host a Mania in the Garden. Make it a spectacle of all spectacles. You don't need large crowds to put on a great show.
I don't disagree to a point. I think they capitalized on 1, 10, and 20 with the Garden, and then I think it's so hard for some whatever godly reason. I think it's taxes or something. I don't know about how New York works, but they go there for house shows, but they haven't gone there for a taping of something, either a pay-per-view or a TV show. They haven't gone to the Garden in almost 20 years, I think. The last one that rings a bell, and I'm probably off on it, but the one that stands out is when Hunter returns from the quad tear. There was probably a couple after that I don't even think about, but they just don't go back to the Garden anymore. I don't know if it's a disagreement with the ownership of both places. To be honest with you, I don't know. I've never really dug deep into figuring it out. But Philly for 40 makes sense in the part of, if you think about all of the old times in the WWF when they used to have TV tapings. They always taped in Allentown or Hershey, or some of those locations were pretty popular for their weekly tapings. So to do the 40th WrestleMania in Philly kind of works. I think if you for the WWF, WWE, when it comes to these bigger these decade anniversary WrestleManias, it works when it's somewhere that they've been to forever. Like if they're in Philly for 40, they were in granted 30 they were in Louisiana, which is broke the streak, but like 20 they're in New York, one they're in New York. If they're in that New York, Philadelphia, DC, Baltimore era for the decade manias, I've got no problem with it.
I don't either. I went to 20. I also went to 29. And now in a couple weeks, you, TJ, and myself are taking the Wrestling with Nerds podcast on the road to WrestleMania 40. But that's a great point Dale had. I would love to see them return home every 10 years.
I agree, but I don't know what it is that why they don't do shows from the Garden anymore. They don't do any live. They don't do any televised or any taped shows from the Garden. It's always house shows. It's something to do with either it's definitely politics in a way. It's something in New York. It's some kind of tax, some kind of credit.
I got you for this. I got you. Fuck you, Doland. And if you don't know who that is, his name is James Doland. He owns Madison Square Garden along with the New York Rangers and New York Knicks.
Isn't he like a musician or something too?
Yeah. I forgot what band it is.
I've heard about him on I'm a very in-depth listener of the Jim and Sam podcast or the Jim and Sam show on Sirius Satellite, and they make fun of James Dolan and his band a lot.
JD and the Straight Shots.
Yes, that's what it's called. But sure. Yeah, they make fun of him quite a lot on that. Fun note for WrestleMania week. I'm going up a day earlier than you two are because I am going to the Not Sam Wrestling podcast show on Wednesday night. Unfortunately for you, you have booked your schedule so tight that you're coming up on Thursday. I'm leaving Wednesday afternoon to be up there for that show. I'm looking forward to it.
For anybody possibly going to WrestleMania, Dale also said, I'm thinking maybe issues with the train station. They do have Penn Station right underneath it. Maybe it's an influx and fanfare could cause too many issues. I don't know, because you should see how packed that place gets for Ranger and Nick games, and they have no problem with Penn Station outside of, long-ass fucking lines.
And up to this year, those two teams sucked.
No, Rangers have been good for a while. The Knicks, though, Jesus Christ, they are like the Cleveland Browns. Well, no. They were okay. No.
It doesn't matter. They're New York teams. Nobody cares but you.
Oh, God. I've been using this so much.
That's payback for your comment about my Red Sox the other day. Fuck you.
I mean, shit teams are shit teams. But I can't wait for 40. 10 was fun. Next week, and I'm going to be called a real shitty wrestling fan because it'll be the first time I'm watching it. WrestleMania 17, next Monday, we are reviewing it. Hopefully we have TJ back. He's currently on a run right now, running a 102 fever. The only thing he does run.
His mouth.
Yeah.
His mouth.
His pants.
WrestleMania 17 is going to be fun for you guys to watch it. I think both of you for the first time. WrestleMania 17 is arguably the greatest WrestleMania of all time. And my favorite match isn't even like remotely talked about on this card. It is a great, fun match to watch. It's not a barn burner or any of that kind of stuff. It's just a fun watch match. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. Of course, WrestleMania 17, we get TLC with Hardy's, Dudley's, Edge and Christian for the tag titles. We get Austin versus Rock for the WWF title, where Austin says, "I have to beat you, Rock."
Oh,
Um,
is that where they have that JR sit down?
yeah, that is also the video segment of the greatest.
Hey Dale, I like you. Thank you for subscribing, but yo, what the fuck?
He goes. That's kind of funny with that comment. He goes from your neck of the woods to my neck of the woods in no time.
Yeah, he goes, New York teams are the James Ellsworth of stick and ball sports, but I love your guys' content. Glad I subbed upon let's say upon
That stumbled. That stumbled upon it.
I gotta make it bigger.
Boy, that's that Connecticut education right there.
I went to technical school for a reason. Thank you very much.
I can't let him. I get what his lines there, but Ellsworth is a pretty cool dude from what I've gathered. I've met him a couple of times. He's pretty cool. I'll leave it at that.
Funny story about our WrestleMania podcast. I don't know how we're doing that. I'm hoping you or TJ brings a fucking laptop so we can make it very easy, because I just don't want to prop up my phone and be like, I hope this shit works.
Yeah. It's gonna be fun. WrestleMania is gonna be fun. We got a lot of stuff planned for this week. What we got? I have Not Sam on Wednesday. Thursday is kind of our crappy day where we don't have anything to do unless we find an independent show to go to. We talked about going to the casino. Hopefully, we run into some wrestlers at the casino. It would be pretty cool.
Yeah, apparently, I'm going to be everybody's keeper because I don't gamble. I can't say I
fucking grandma over here only plays bingo.
I can't say I don't drink because
Friday we go to the World, or Access is what I've always called it.
Do they have matches at Access? Because I remember
not anymore.
I was gonna say, because I remember Brody Lee and Dijak having a really fucking good match at Access.
We're hopefully gonna be on the Pat McAfee show Friday. We're gonna be in the crowd. He's supposed to have Triple H as his guest on that show. Saturday, NXT WrestleMania. Sunday, we're doing WrestleCon and then WrestleMania. Monday, I think we're supposed to go see the Liberty Bell so TJ can put another crack in it. And then then Raw.
Is he going to look in the mirror? Because it's his ass.
I don't know. If he runs up those fucking steps, look for a crack across the country.
Hey Ryan, aren't these nice?
Yeah, they're nice. Where did you get those at?
If you go down into the description or up into the description if you're on Facebook, it's our Streamlabs.
I just got spooked. I just saw Chucky run across the top of this game.
That would be my wonderful and psychotic niece. But yeah, we have a Streamlabs up. You can get all your Nerds Doing Nerd Things podcast, Wrestling with Nerds podcast, All-Star 15, Hutchport. But yeah, we have WrestleMania t-shirts. As you guys just saw, it says Wrestling with Nerds. If you get anything pink, they go to the Susan G. Komen Fund. Once we hit that $50 mark, I send a nice fat $50 donation to them from all 4 entities. But dude, I can't wait to talk about WrestleMania 17. I'm very excited for it, watching it for the first time. Honestly, when we started this wrestling shit, I didn't know what the legs were gonna be on it. But we're 5 months in, and I am having literally the time of my life, going from wrestling to then nerds, and then back to wrestling, and then back into nerds.
We're 7 months into this, 6 months into this. We started in September.
Oh, I feel so old.
Yeah, it's
Back
been
when I
fun.
had hair.
Yeah. But
No,
yeah,
nothing for that, Ryan.
it's
Nothing.
no. I mean, yeah, nothing. I got nothing. Nothing.
Okay, everybody, thank you for tuning in. We really appreciate having you guys. If you haven't yet, follow us on Facebook. We put out a lot of content on our Facebook page. And then subscribe on YouTube, like, do all that wonderful, cool shit. But thank you all for tuning in. Ryan, you got one more thing, it looks like.
Yeah, I forgot to mention. Sunday. Remember, we're doing WrestleCon. Shout out to the Honky Tonk Band and my friend Brandon got us that video for the opening. If you missed it, go back and watch it. Honky Tonk Man is a pretty cool guy. I got these in the mail just the other day.
Oh.
Hold on a second here. Let me see what I can do here.
Wow, TJ's already sleeping.
Yeah, well, shut up for 5 minutes. We're still recording.
Got this awesome. Oh, blurted out. Got this awesome picture. Let me turn this off. I know how to turn this off. There we go. Got this.
Hold on. I just switched us to a different Discord because Taylor joined.
Got this really cool autograph picture from Honky Tonk Man.
That's dope.
Greg the Hammer Valentine, $1 Million Man, Bad News Brown. This is a promo photo of Survivor Series 1990. If you remember correctly, Bad News Brown is not their team member
Didn't he get hurt?
That Survivor Series. He got fired.
Oh, well, that'll do it too.
This is The Undertaker.
Yes.
That's what this one is supposed to be. So I got that really cool one. That was for myself. And then for you, because you were busy doing the other podcast, we got you this one. This is a promo shot for WrestleMania 3. That is the guitar that he hit Jake the Snake Roberts in the head with earlier in the night.
I'm still getting that framed.
But to the wrestling podcast, Nerds Podcast, Shake, Rattle, Roll, Honky Tonk Man. So big thanks to Honky Tonk Man. They have a Facebook page. I believe it's called the Original Honky Tonk Man, or I can't think of it off the top of my head. Sorry there, Brandon, on that one.
I couldn't pull my sleeve up, show you the goosebumps.
The official Honky Tonk Man fan page. That's what it's called. Dumbass. I'm such an idiot. Go give them a check. Give them a like and a follow. They do giveaways at certain amounts, and it's always Honky signing things. But big shout out to them. We're going to see them at WrestleCon and give them 2 of the Wrestling with Nerds t-shirts. And a big surprise for you and TJ, Sunday, we will also be getting a photo shoot done with Team Bestie.
Lita and Trish?
Lita and Trish. So
do I need to buy 2 more shirts?
No.
Okay.
But I haven't got the timestamp on that on when we got to be there for that, but I'm definitely in the middle of that picture. So you guys can kiss my ass. You guys pick what you two can fight over which side or which one you want to be beside.
I don't care.
I don't care.
I don't give a shit.
I'm going to be in the middle so I don't have to pick. But that's the big chunky. But it'll be fun. So stay tuned, guys. It's going to be a lot of fun. Stay close to the podcast. Stay close to the channels. We'll keep you up to date when we get to WrestleMania. And next week, WrestleMania 17. It's going to be a fun watch.
Absolutely. Guys, thank you for tuning in. Like, subscribe, follow. We will see you Thursday for the Nerds Do Nerd Things podcast. They're going to present the Mockingjay part 1 and part 2 for the Hunger Games.
I'm hungry right now. I'm out.
You're always hungry. Bye, everybody.
Speaks to the one that shoved burrito in his mouth before.